Would you believe a mother who fed her daughter chocolate 3 times a day throughout her childhood? And what if that same daughter, now 18, couldn't touch sugar without pain? Lyra's world had always been sweet. Cocoa on the stove, her mother's soft humming. Sweet like love, sweet like a lie. Her blue-tinted skin caught the morning light. She wasn't fully human. Her mother said it made her special, yet her body felt like it was falling apart, cell by cell. Dr. Mirren never let her miss the daily tonic, a clear vial labeled metabolic stabilizer. Lyra drank it since infancy, just as she once ate endless chocolates. Chocolates that once comforted her, then left her trembling. Now, confined to her fog-shrouded city home, her legs weak from neural decay, she began to suspect there was more behind her mother's perfect control. One evening, her small metallic pet, Nova, knocked the vial to the floor. The label tore. Beneath it, hidden text read, "Prototype Compound X9 for laboratory organisms only." Organisms, not humans. Heart pounding, Lyra peeled the paper fully off. The database showed nothing, no record, no approval, as if the drug didn't exist. That night, her mind raced. She remembered her mother whispering, "Love keeps you alive." The next morning, Lyra confronted her. "What is this?" she demanded, holding the vial. "An old formula," Dr. Mirren said too calmly. "You talk about me like I'm not human." Her mother's voice cracked. "You're my daughter." That's all that matters. But Lyra no longer believed her. Later, in the storage room, she found neat rows of empty chocolate wrappers, each labeled, cataloged like research samples. The air reeked of antiseptic. Her reflection in the mirror glowed faintly blue. "What did you do to me, Mom?" she whispered. Back in her room, Nova tapped the tablet. A hidden video flickered to life. Dr. Mirren's face appeared, smiling into the camera. Day 142. Subject responding well to the compound. Emotional attachment increasing. Lyra's breath stopped. The subject was her. Tears shimmered as she whispered, "You said it was love." From another room came her mother's trembling voice. "Forgive me, my star. I only wanted you to live." But Lyra no longer felt alive, only manufactured. Lyra woke to the soft hum of her vitals monitor, its rhythm echoing in her head like a mechanical heartbeat. The night's images still haunted her. The voice in the recording whispering, "Subject responding well." Her reflection looked alien. Her skin shimmered between frost and moonlight, faint particles shifting beneath the surface. When she touched her arm, it felt half numb, half alive. Something inside her was changing, and the vial was at the center of it. At breakfast, Dr. Mirren smiled as if nothing had changed. "Don't forget your stabilizer," she said, placing the vial beside Lyra's plate. The word itself made Lyra's stomach tighten. She pretended to drink, then hid it in her pocket. Once her mother left, Lyra and Nova ran a test. The tablet scanner buzzed, then flashed red. Compound not recognized. Cross-species markers found. Her pulse quickened. Cross-species? She broke into her mother's lab. The air smelled of ozone and antiseptic. Rows of glowing vials lined the walls, and a glass tank dripped condensation. On the wall, Project Elysium, Phase 3. In a drawer, she found more vials like hers, and a photo of a blue-skinned infant labeled Subject L01. Her breath caught. L01. Lyra. Then came her mother's voice. "Lyra?" Dr. Mirren stood in the doorway, pale, trembling. "What am I?" Lyra asked. "You're my daughter," her mother said, but her tone cracked. "No, I saw the files, the tests, cross-species." "You were dying," Mirren whispered. "The serum stabilizes your cells. Without it, your system will collapse." Lyra's eyes filled. so I'm not human. Her mother's silence was the answer. That night, Lyra didn't drink the tonic. Neon light from the city spilled across her glowing skin. Every sound sharpened, the hum of machines, her mother's faint heartbeat beyond the wall. At 2 a.m., she woke gasping, veins glowing like living circuitry. Nova pressed against her, trembling. "I'm fine," she whispered, though she wasn't. Later, she searched Project Elysium online. One document appeared, redacted, fragmented. Hybrid genomic stabilization in hyaline human embryos. Successful integration observed in subject L01. Maternal host, Dr. M.R. Myron. The last line froze her blood. Maternal host. Her mother hadn't just made her. She'd carried her as an experiment. Lyra stared at the dark screen, shaking. Every word of love, every touch now felt like a controlled variable in a test. Nova nestled closer, its hum syncing with her heart. Lyra whispered, "If I was made, maybe I can unmake what she did." Lightning split the clouds outside as her veins lit up, bright, alive, and no longer human. Rain began before dawn, whispering against the glass like 1,000 tiny voices. Lyra hadn't slept. The phrase maternal host kept looping in her mind. She needed proof, something undeniable. The basement. Her mother called it the archive room. Rows of metallic shelves, dust in the air, and a faint hum of old machines. But what caught her eye was a stack of videotapes labeled in her mother's handwriting. Lyra, age 3. Lyra, age 5. Subject L01, emotional response trial. Her chest tightened. Trial, not birthday. She inserted the tape. Static. Then an image, a little blue-skinned girl giggling as her mother set sweets before her. Her mother's calm voice. Day 512, subject L01 displays stable response to glucose-based bonding stimuli. Emotional synchronization with caretaker increasing. It wasn't affection. It was programming. Lyra froze the screen, her mother's smile caught mid-frame. "You trained me to love you." Another tape, cognitive stress test. The child solved puzzles under pulsing tones, electrodes glowing on her temples. Behavioral conditioning, disguised as play. Then home, age 7, a birthday scene. Balloons, laughter, until a flicker in the background. A thin, glowing figure watching from the hall. Her mother's tense voice. "End the recording." Static Lyra replayed the moment again and again. The figure was real, and her mother had known. Nova, the small, glowing creature, projected hidden data from the console. If this recording is found, containment has failed. Subject L01 may achieve self-awareness. The stabilizer must never be discontinued. Lyra's breath caught. Self-awareness. She wasn't born. She was built. A door slammed upstairs. Her mother's voice echoed, gentle yet fearful. "Lyra, sweetheart?" "What are you doing down there?" She grabbed the tapes, heart pounding. "She didn't save me," she whispered to Nova. "She created me." When the lift doors opened, her reflection in the dark window showed violet, glowing eyes. Her mother appeared. "You don't understand what you found." Lyra's voice trembled. "You programmed me not to leave." Dr. Myron whispered, "No." "I built you to survive." Lyra shut herself in her room as thunder rolled outside. "If I wasn't born," she murmured to the storm, "then maybe I can be reborn." Her reflection stared back, a girl between two worlds, and for the first time, she wasn't afraid to discover which one she truly belonged to. Morning came pale and silent. Lyra hadn't slept. Her reflection no longer looked human. Silver pupils, glowing veins under her skin like constellations. When she touched the mirror, It pulsed back, alive. "Show me what's inside me," she told Nova. The small AI projected a hologram of her body, revealing a glowing core near her heart, Elysium gene cluster, HYLA-NPR1, Hylan, a hybrid subspecies, extinct, engineered for healing but emotionally unstable. Her supposed illness was a containment protocol, the daily sweets, stabilizers, not care, control. Suddenly, Nova flashed red. Unauthorized access detected? Then, a soft click. Someone at the door. Silence. When the lights steadied, a black keycard sat on her desk. No one had entered. A single word etched on the back. Mirror. That night, she used it. The lift sank deeper than she'd ever known existed. Sub-level access. Mirror cell. The hallway below was lined with glass chambers, all empty except one. Inside floated a girl. Blue-skinned. Peaceful. Her. A plaque read, Highland PR1, initial host. Lyra froze. No. Nova's analysis confirmed it. Organic match, 97.8%. You are the clone. Her breath hitched. The sweets, the conditioning, every kindness had been programming. Then, through the hum of the chamber, a voice whispered in her mind, "Wake me. Free me." Her mother appeared in the doorway, calm and pale. "You shouldn't have come," she said softly. "That's the real Lyra, the one who couldn't survive." "I made you to continue," her Lyra's voice cracked. "You lied to me." "I kept you alive," Dr. Myron replied. "The sugar, the treatments, they slowed your decay. Without them, you'll burn out." Lyra's eyes glowed violet. "I don't want to be your experiment." "Then you'll die," her mother warned. "Maybe that's better than living your lie." Lyra touched the chamber. The glass rippled, and the sleeping figure opened its eyes. The eyes inside the chamber opened slowly, unfocused at first, then locking straight onto Lyra. The glass between them shimmered with faint blue light, vibrating as if it were alive. Lyra's breath caught. Her own reflection, or her twin, blinked once, lips parting soundlessly. Then the liquid around her began to pulse, echoing the rhythm of Lyra's heartbeat. Nova hovered anxiously beside her. "Warning, containment breach sequence detected. Evacuation recommended." Lyra didn't move. She couldn't. The other Lyra raised her hand. The same gesture, the same trembling fingers. It was like watching herself in a dream she'd forgotten. A soft whisper filled the air, not from her ears, but from inside her skull. "I remember the stars." Lyra stumbled back. "You can talk." Her mother's voice cut through the haze. "Step away from the chamber, Lyra." Dr. Mirren's tone wasn't angry. It was fearful. For the first time, Lyra saw something human flicker behind her mother's eyes, genuine terror. "She's not what you think," Myron continued. "She's an echo. A failed version. If she wakes fully, she'll—" But she never finished the sentence. A sharp crack split the air as the chamber glass fractured. A single hairline fissure, glowing faintly, spread across the surface. The liquid inside boiled with light. Lyra turned toward her mother. "What did you do to her?" Dr. Mirren's hands shook. "I tried to save her." The first Lyra couldn't adapt. Her cells rejected the stabilization protocol. She was dying. Lyra looked down at her hands. "And you replaced her with me." Her mother swallowed. "I copied her consciousness. Preserved what was left. You were never supposed to know." The crack deepened. A droplet of glowing fluid hissed onto the floor. Nova's alarms flared again. "Containment compromised. Organic resonance detected." And then the whisper again, louder this time. "Help me breathe." Lyra pressed her palm to the glass, ignoring the heat. I can't let her die again. Her mother screamed, Lyra, stop! Too late. The chamber split open with a blinding burst of blue-white light. The air exploded outward, knocking them all back. Nova's lights flickered, then went dark. Lyra hit the ground hard, coughing, eyes burning from the brightness. When the haze cleared, the chamber was empty. A faint mist drifted toward the exit, and in the center of the floor, something was growing. A root, pale and luminescent, pushed through the cracks in the tiles, then another, then dozens. They spread like veins, pulsing faintly with the same glow as Lyra's heart. Dr. Mirren scrambled to her feet, horror on her face. No, no, it's starting again. Lyra stared, mesmerized. What is it? Her mother's voice trembled. The mirror cell was built on top of the original Elysium site, a biological network, part organism, part memory field. The Hylian were not just creatures, they were gardens, living systems. Lyra's chest tightened. Gardens? Yes, Myron whispered. They don't die. They root themselves in anything living. That's how the first Lyra survived, by merging with the planet's code. I tried to contain it. The glowing roots coiled toward Lyra's feet, brushing her skin, warm, almost gentle. And suddenly, her mind flooded with images. Blue skies not of Earth, silver oceans under twin moons, voices, not words but harmonies, singing in the dark. She fell to her knees, gasping. Nova reactivated with a faint buzz. Neural overload detected. Disconnect recommended, but Lyra couldn't. She was the connection. In her mind, the whisper turned into a voice. Familiar, calm, almost loving. You were never meant to live small. You were made to awaken. Tears welled in her eyes. Who are you? I am what your mother feared. The memory that couldn't die, Lyra's heartbeat synchronized with the rhythm of the pulsing roots. She could feel them breathing through the walls, the ceiling, the ground, the entire facility alive, aware, watching. Dr. Mirren shouted something, but her voice was fading behind the noise in Lyra's mind. The other Lyra, or whatever had been inside the chamber, began to form again, now outside the glass, a body of light taking shape from the mist. She looked almost human, but her skin shimmered like liquid mercury. Her eyes were calm, almost kind. Lyra whispered, Are you me? The being smiled faintly. I was. You are what's left of me, distilled, fragile, human enough to survive. Dr. Mirren pointed a trembling hand at the entity. You're not real. You're a contagion. The being tilted its head. I am memory, Mother. You can't quarantine that. The word mother struck like a blade. Dr. Mirren stepped back, her composure fracturing. You're both mistakes. I wanted to fix. Lyra turned to her, voice trembling but clear. You didn't fix us. You broke us, both of us. The roots climbed higher now, wrapping around the walls, glowing brighter. Nova hovered nervously, projecting a holographic map. Biospread reaching 72%. Containment impossible. Lyra's double looked at her softly. The garden remembers us all, Lyra. You can destroy it, or you can become it. Lyra's hands shook. If I become it, what happens to me? You stop being one thing. You start being everything, her mother screamed. Don't listen! That's not life. That's dissolution. Lyra looked between them, the woman who had raised her through lies, and the being who offered truth that felt like death. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. Then she whispered, Show me. The being stepped forward. Her hand touched Lyra's chest. The glow flared again, blinding, searing, and for an instant, Lyra felt every living thing around her. The walls pulsed with sap. The air trembled with the memory of ancient rain, and beneath it all, the heartbeat of a world that had been buried for centuries. Dr. Mirren collapsed to her knees, whispering through tears. I just wanted to keep you. Lyra looked down at her mother, the silver glow in her eyes softening. You can't keep what was never yours. The being smiled faintly, fading into the light. The roots began to recede, curling back into the floor, their glow dimming as if soothed. Nova's sensors stabilized. Anomaly neutralized, neural pattern merged. Lyra stood there in the silence, trembling. She was still herself, but inside her, something vast had awakened. The air smelled faintly of ozone and flowers that didn't exist on Earth. Nova spoke quietly. Lyra, your vitals are changing. Lyra looked at her reflection in a shattered fragment of glass. Her eyes, once silver, now shimmered with deep violet, alive, awake, infinite. She smiled faintly. Then, maybe for the first time, I'm becoming real. The lights flickered once, then steadied. Outside, beyond the underground lab, the first light of dawn touched the horizon, and with it, a faint shimmer in the soil, like something vast stirring beneath the earth. The morning after the garden's awakening was silent. Too silent. The air inside the house felt denser, thicker, like the walls themselves were listening. Lyra hadn't spoken to her mother since that night. She could still feel the pulse beneath her skin, faintly glowing like something alive inside her veins. When she held her wrist to the light, faint silver lines shimmered beneath the surface. They weren't veins anymore. They were patterns, like circuitry written into flesh. Nova floated nearby, its voice subdued. Your biometrics have changed. Energy output is not human. Lyra's throat was dry. Then what am I now? Undefined, Nova replied, but you're stable. For now, she looked around the house. It felt wrong. Smaller somehow, as if the rooms were folding in on themselves. Every corner she once thought she knew seemed unfamiliar now. Even the air smelled different. Cleaner, almost metallic. She walked into the kitchen. On the counter, neat as always, stood the same row of amber medicine bottles. Labels, insulin, glucose stabilizer, nutrient balance. And beside them, a single vial without a label. Her heartbeat quickened. It wasn't there before. She picked it up. Inside was a faint blue liquid pulsing softly. Nova's sensors flickered. Unknown compound, bioreactive, Lyra whispered. It's from her. Her mother's voice came from behind, calm but tired. You shouldn't be here. Lyra turned slowly. Dr. Mirren stood at the doorway, eyes hollow from sleeplessness, hands trembling just slightly. You left this, Lyra said. What is it? Mirren didn't answer. Instead, she moved closer, her face illuminated by the faint glow of the vial. It's the last stabilizer, she said quietly. Without it, you'll burn out. You've seen the changes. You can feel them. Lyra's grip tightened. You mean the changes you caused? Her mother's gaze hardened. I didn't cause them. I contained them. The Highland genome is unstable. It's expanding, rewriting you. You think you're awakening, but you're dissolving. Lyra shook her head. You said that before. But I'm still here. Because of me, Mirren snapped. Because I have been balancing your blood chemistry since you were a child. Those sweets you loved, those weren't treats, Lyra. They were doses, control agents. Lyra's stomach turned. You kept me weak so I'd stay close. Her mother's voice cracked. I kept you alive. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Lyra said softly, Then let's find out who I really am. She turned toward Nova. Set up a blood analysis. Full spectrum. Her mother stepped forward. Lyra, don't. But Lyra had already pricked her finger. A single drop of silver blue blood fell onto the scanner pad. It hissed softly, reacting instantly. Nova's interface flickered, overwhelmed by data. Processing, Dr. Mirren whispered under her breath. Please, no. The holographic screen filled the air. Layers of genetic strands unfolded, human DNA intertwining with something else. But as Nova isolated each segment, one strand glowed brighter than the rest, pulsing in rhythm with Lyra's heartbeat. Nova's tone dropped to a near whisper. Primary code detected, Hylan Elysium, energy-integrated genome. Cross-species link confirmed. Lyra stared at the display. That mean, you're not human, Nova finished. You're a synthesis. Her mother closed her eyes, pain etched across her face. You were never supposed to know this. I didn't want you to live in fear. Lyra turned to her sharply. Then why hide it from me? Why make me think I was sick? Dr. Mirren's voice broke. Because you were never meant to stay here. You were made for something else. Something I couldn't let happen again. Lyra frowned. What do you mean? Her mother hesitated, then whispered, The Hylan Project wasn't about survival. It was about replacement. Lyra felt her stomach twist. Replacement? The government wanted hybrids who could adapt to new worlds, new atmospheres, new radiation. You were supposed to be the prototype, the next version of us. But when the others saw what the Hylan could become, she paused, trembling. They tried to destroy everything. I saved what I could. You. The words hung heavy in the air. Lyra's pulse raced. So you lied to protect me. Her mother nodded weakly. To protect all of us. If they found out you still existed. She trailed off. Nova beeped softly, new data flashing across the screen. Lyra turned to look. Her blood cells were splitting, dividing and multiplying faster than the system could record. In seconds, the sample on the scanner had grown, pulsing, spreading, reshaping itself into fractal patterns, and then it formed symbols, not random, but deliberate. The same spiral symbol from the keycard. Lyra whispered, It's alive. Nova's tone turned analytical. Blood sample has entered self-replication phase, generating unknown neural signature. Dr. Myron backed away, eyes wide. No, 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 it's starting again. What's starting? Lyra demanded. The hive effect, her mother gasped. Your blood is remembering itself. It's reconnecting to what was buried beneath this place. The Elysium core is waking. Lyra looked down at her hand. Her veins glowed brighter now, faint light pulsing beneath her skin like soft lightning. The walls vibrated faintly in response, like the entire house recognized her. Nova's voice deepened. Lyra, this signal isn't local. It's transmitting to where? Lyra whispered. Dr. Mirren's voice barely held together. Not where. Who? The lights in the room flickered, turning blue. Nova's sensors whined. Incoming resonance detected. Matching Hylan frequency. Lyra turned toward her mother. You said they were extinct. They were, Mirren said, until you called them. A low hum filled the air, faint at first, then growing, a deep vibration that resonated through the ground. The lab's floor trembled. Outside, the sky darkened unnaturally, clouds spiraling in a perfect circle above the horizon. Lyra's heartbeat synchronized with the pulse. Each throb of her blood made the house quake. Nova spoke in a monotone. Elysium core awakening sequence confirmed. Estimated arrival time. Unknown. Lyra whispered, They're coming. Her mother reached for her hand. If they find you, they'll take you. You won't be my daughter anymore. You'll be theirs. Lyra met her eyes, calm now, almost serene. Maybe I was never really yours to begin with. Dr. Mirren's hand trembled, tears breaking through. Lyra, please. But the glow around Lyra intensified, surrounding her in a faint halo. Her hair shimmered faintly silver under the light. She wasn't human anymore. And somehow that truth no longer frightened her. She looked out the window. Far in the distance, the night sky shimmered with an unfamiliar aurora, colors no human eyes were meant to see. And beneath the earth, the faint sound of roots shifting, stretching, remembering. Nova whispered, "They've heard your blood." Lyra smiled faintly, her voice calm. "Then it's time I hear theirs." The night after the discovery, the house changed. Every wall seemed to pulse softly with the same rhythm as Lyra's heart. The hum in the walls, the low, vibrating sound she'd always assumed was the wind, now felt alive, aware, watching. She sat in front of the mirror, pulling at the sleeve of her shirt. A faint blue shimmer rippled beneath her skin, just for a moment, then faded. She stared at her reflection. "What did you do to me, Mother?" she whispered. From the living room, the hollow screen flickered on by itself. Her mother's face appeared, not live, but recorded. The image was grainy, time-stamped 2 months ago. "If you're watching this," Era's voice trembled, "then I've failed to keep it hidden any longer. You were never meant to suffer, Lyra. You were meant to survive." Lyra froze. The message continued. "You were born different. I altered the gestation sequence before you took your first breath. You're not fully human. You're what we hoped would be the bridge between our kind and theirs. The treatments, the sweets, the medicine, it wasn't poison. It was adaptation. Your body couldn't sustain itself without regulation. But something went wrong." Lyra's pulse raced. The reflection in the mirror blinked twice slower than she did, like the mirror version was lagging behind or thinking for itself. She whispered, "Adaptation to what?" Behind her, soft mechanical steps echoed down the hall. The sound was unmistakable, the light tread of the household attendants, the service androids her mother had kept since Lyra was a child. But these weren't the same ones. Their eyes glowed a deep violet instead of silver. "Identify yourselves," she demanded. The lead android tilted its head. "Protocol shift, caretaker retrieval." Lyra backed away. Retrieval for what? The android's hand opened, revealing a small injector vial, marked with the same dual-layered label as before. She bolted toward the back door, but the house sealed itself shut. Glass darkened. Lights dimmed. The walls pulsed faster. "Mother's orders remain active," said the android. "Subject must be stabilized." Her hands trembled. Stabilized or silenced? No response. She turned to run, darting toward the stairs, but a sharp pain surged through her leg. Her vision fractured, blinding flashes of blue and white. The hum in the walls grew louder, almost like a heartbeat. Then everything stopped. When she opened her eyes, she was lying in her bed. The androids were gone. Her skin was glowing faintly from the inside out, tracing delicate geometric patterns along her veins. It looked beautiful, terrifyingly beautiful. The computer beside her beeped. A message blinked. Stage 3 activation, neural bloom initiated. She tried to move, but her body was weightless. Her mind flooded with fragmented images, her mother standing in a sterile lab, voices arguing in the background, a symbol burning into the wall. Omega 37. Her voice cracked. "You weren't saving me, were you?" You were making me outside the window. The night sky wasn't the same. The stars had rearranged themselves, forming a pattern she instinctively recognized, though she'd never seen it before. A message pulsed in her mind, not from any device, but from within her. Come home. Lyra pressed her trembling hand to the glass. For the first time, the world beyond her mother's house didn't feel distant. It felt like it was calling her back. But beneath the beauty of the stars, another presence stirred. A shadow in the reflection behind her, a silhouette that looked just like her mother, smiling faintly. You were never meant to stay here forever, my child. The mirror flickered, then cracked from within, like something behind it was trying to get out. The morning light slid across the floor like liquid silver. For the first time, Lyra didn't feel cold. The blue glow beneath her skin pulsed steadily, synchronized with the hum of the house. She could feel every wall, every wire, every vibration. The house wasn't a home. It was part of her. Her mother's voice still echoed in her mind. You were meant to survive. She looked around. The air shimmered faintly, and one of the cracked mirrors reassembled itself before her eyes, as if time were rewinding. Inside the reflection, her mother appeared. Not a ghost, not a recording, but a projection of something alive. Mother, Lyra whispered, her voice trembling between anger and longing, tell me the truth. Why me? Era's reflection smiled softly, sadness in her eyes. Because you were dying before you were even born. Lyra froze. Our kind. We were never meant to live on this planet. The air corrodes our blood. The light breaks our cells. I changed your design so you could survive among them. I gave you the sweet compound to control the mutation. Without it, your body would have burned itself from the inside out. Lyra's pulse quickened. You mean the chocolades, the medicines? They were to keep me alive? At first, yes. But later, I couldn't stop. You grew stronger, more different. I feared if the mutation reached its final stage, they would come for you. Our people. Lyra stepped closer to the mirror. Then the labels, the fake medicines? Era hesitated. I hid the truth from both sides. From the humans who would have dissected you, and from the ones who made you. I had to keep you mine, even if it meant you'd hate me. The words cut through the air like ice. Lyra whispered, you didn't keep me safe. You kept me small. The reflection's eyes shimmered. Maybe I did. But love makes monsters of all of us. A sudden rumble shook the house. The lights flickered, windows shattered. Outside, the sky split open in a storm of color. Violet and gold lightning weaving across the horizon. From the center of the storm, enormous shapes descended, metallic wings glinting in the dawn. Lyra's head throbbed. Symbols burned in her vision as if written across the sky itself. She could read them. Reclaim the hybrid. Termination. If resistance detected, her mother's projection looked upward, terrified. They've found you. Lyra clenched her fists. Then it's time they see what they created. The walls around her peeled apart, revealing intricate circuitry pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. The house, the same one that had been her prison, now felt like an extension of her will. She reached out mentally, and the walls obeyed. Panels lifted, conduits twisted into sleek metallic armor, and the windows reshaped into radiant shields of light. The first drone broke through the clouds, scanning beams slicing across the property. Lyra stepped into the open, her skin blazing blue-white, eyes glowing like twin stars. A voice boomed from the sky. Subject Omega-37, surrender. She smiled faintly. Not today. Energy surged through her veins. The air itself trembled. The drones fired, but their beams scattered harmlessly against an invisible field radiating from her. The reflection of her mother appeared again in the broken glass by her feet. Lyra, if you go through that portal, you can never come back. This planet will burn you from the inside out. Lyra turned, calm and certain. Then I'll burn bright enough to be remembered. She raised her hand toward the storm. The sky answered. Lightning twisted into a spiral, wrapping around her like a halo. The drones melted into fragments of light, absorbed into her energy. And then, silence. The storm folded inward, collapsing into a single, blinding point. Lyra stepped through it, her figure dissolving into pure luminescence, her voice echoing across the air one last time. I forgive you, Mother, but I won't be your secret anymore. The portal vanished. When the calm returned, only her mother's projection remained, flickering faintly in the empty house. Era reached out to where her daughter had stood, her hand trembling. You were always meant to go home. The projection faded. The house powered down. Miles above the planet, a new constellation shimmered into view. 8 stars forming the symbol Omega 37. If you looked closely, they pulsed like a heartbeat, a sign that somewhere beyond the reach of any world, Lyra was alive, and finally, free. Static crackles. A distant transmission hums through the black void of space. Unidentified signal detected. Origin, Earth. The camera drifts through an abandoned laboratory. Dust floats in the air, weightless, untouched for years. A flickering console suddenly powers on by itself. The same symbol, Omega 37, flares on the monitor. Then a faint heartbeat. Slow, steady, familiar. A low voice, female, calm but not entirely human, whispers through the static, I thought I left it behind, but the pulse never stopped. A silhouette steps from the shadows. It's Lyra. Her eyes no longer glowing blue, but a deep, shifting gold. Her skin faintly translucent, starlight moving beneath it like liquid galaxies. She runs a hand along the wall. The metal responds to her touch, rippling, reshaping. Behind her, the shattered Earth sky glows with 3 suns. She turns toward the camera. They're coming here next. The signal cuts, static silence. Then one final message flashes across the screen. Omega 37, the awakening coming soon.